Hello. Welcome to Imagine Love Stories. I'm Danny. The first snow of the season blanketed Maple Ridge, turning the quaint small town into a picture-perfect holiday postcard. Main Street's cobblestones shimmered under the soft glow of vintage street lamps, and garlands of evergreen adorned every storefront. It was the kind of place that seemed frozen in time, where everyone knew everyone, and no door was ever locked. Emma Davis stepped out of her car, the cold biting at her cheeks. She'd returned to Maple Ridge reluctantly, leaving behind her fast-paced life in Chicago to help her aging father recover from a recent surgery. A city girl through and through, Emma wasn't thrilled about trading skyscrapers for snowdrifts, but family came first. Across the street, a man wrestled with a large Christmas tree outside the town's hardware store. His flannel shirt, rolled-up sleeves, and unruly chestnut hair were unmistakable even from a distance. Jack Pearson, Emma muttered under her breath. Her high school sweetheart, the one she'd left behind a decade ago when she chased her big city dreams, looked as ruggedly handsome as ever. Jack glanced up and caught her gaze. For a moment, the bustling town square seemed to pause. His expression shifted from surprise to a warm, teasing grin. "Emma Davis," he called, his voice carrying easily over the distance. "Back in town to remind us how to properly parallel park." She rolled her eyes but couldn't help the small smile tugging at her lips. "Still holding that grudge, huh?" "It's been 10 years, Jack." "Some memories stick," he replied, his tone playful but his eyes soft with something deeper. Emma crossed the street, her boots crunching in the snow. "Need help with that?" she asked, nodding toward the tree. "I'd never turn down help from a city slicker," Jack said, stepping aside to make room. As they wrestled the tree upright, a gust of wind sent a flurry of snow cascading over them. Emma shrieked, brushing snow off her coat, while Jack laughed heartily. It was a sound she hadn't realized she'd missed. Over the next few days, Emma found herself running into Jack more often than seemed coincidental. He was always there, whether she was grabbing coffee at the local cafe or picking up supplies at the grocery store. Slowly, the walls she'd built began to crumble. She found herself laughing more, rediscovering the charm of Maple Ridge, and, most unexpectedly, reconnecting with Jack. One evening, after a community tree lighting ceremony, Jack invited her for a walk along the frozen lake. The moonlight sparkled on the ice, and their breath hung in the air like soft clouds. "You ever think about what might have been?" Jack asked, his voice low and steady. Emma hesitated, her gloved hand brushing against his. "Sometimes," she admitted. "But life doesn't work like that. We made our choices." "True," he said, turning to face her. "But sometimes, life gives us a second chance." Before she could respond, Jack leaned in, his lips capturing hers in a kiss that was both tender and electrifying. The years melted away, leaving only the two of them and the quiet, snowy night. As Christmas approached, Emma faced a decision. Would she return to Chicago and her high-powered career, or was there someone worth staying for in Maple Ridge? In the end, the answer came not from Jack, but from the way her heart felt lighter in Maple Ridge, the way the town's warmth wrapped around her like a cozy blanket. She realized she'd found something she didn't even know she'd lost. On Christmas Eve, as the town gathered for a festive celebration, Emma stood by Jack's side, her fingers entwined with his. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in years, it felt bright. Together, under the twinkling lights and falling snow, they discovered that sometimes, love was worth coming home for. As the new year approached, Emma took on a temporary role at the town's local newspaper, helping to modernize their operations and inject fresh energy into their stories. She quickly found joy in weaving together the lives and moments of Maple Ridge, capturing its essence in words and photos. The work reminded her of why she fell in love with storytelling in the first place. Jack, meanwhile, showed her the other side of Maple Ridge. They spent afternoons snowshoeing through the woods, evenings skating on the lake, and mornings sipping coffee by the fire at the Pearson family's lodge. Emma discovered a slower, richer rhythm to life she'd never known before. One crisp January evening, as they stood atop a hill overlooking the snow-covered valley, Jack reached into his pocket. The look in his eyes sent Emma's heart racing. "Emma," he began, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "I've loved you since we were kids, and I've never stopped. You're my past, my present, and I hope, my future. Will you stay? Will you build a life here with me?" Tears welled in her eyes as she nodded, words escaping her in the moment. Jack slipped a simple, elegant ring onto her finger, and they sealed their promise with a kiss under the starlit sky. Maple Ridge wasn't just a place, it was home. And with Jack by her side, Emma knew it was where their story would continue to unfold, one snowy chapter at a time. By mid-February, Emma and Jack began planning their life together in earnest. The Pearson Lodge, which Jack's family had owned for generations, became a focal point of their dreams. Together, they envisioned transforming it into a year-round retreat for visitors to enjoy the beauty of Maple Ridge, from its snowy winters to its vibrant summers. Emma's father, recovering well, took delight in seeing his daughter settle into the town he'd always cherished. He even offered to help with the lodge's renovations, sharing stories of his own younger days working on similar projects. One evening, while sorting through the lodge's attic, Emma and Jack uncovered a trove of old photographs and letters. The discovery sparked an idea, to create a small museum within the lodge, celebrating Maple Ridge's history and the Pearson family's legacy. As they sifted through the memories, Emma felt an even deeper connection to the town and to Jack. Winter turned to spring, and Maple Ridge blossomed with new life. The lodge renovations progressed, and Emma's role at the newspaper evolved into a permanent position. She began hosting a weekly column that highlighted heartwarming stories from the town, earning her a loyal following. The grand reopening of the Pearson Lodge took place in late June, under a canopy of twinkling fairy lights and a sky painted with the hues of sunset. The entire town turned out to celebrate, a testament to the deep sense of community that had drawn Emma back. As the night wore on, Jack took Emma's hand and led her to the dance floor. The soft strains of a violin filled the air as they swayed together, lost in the moment. Around them, laughter and joy echoed, but for Emma and Jack, the world felt beautifully still. "I'm glad I came back," Emma whispered, her head resting on Jack's shoulder. "I'm glad you stayed," he replied, his voice filled with love. In that moment, beneath the stars and surrounded by the town that had brought them together, Emma and Jack knew they were exactly where they were meant to be. Their journey had come full circle, and the future stretched before them like a promise bright, hopeful, and filled with love.